Hi, Carrie.
How are you doing, Jake?
I'm doing good. It's good to hear your voice.
It's good to hear your voice as well. I'm really, really excited to talk about this book. But I don't know if we have any business we need to get to before that. Otherwise, oh my God, hold me closer, Necromancer.
Best title ever.
Pretty much.
And are we going to have spoilers?
Oh, yes.
Maybe we'll swear a little.
A little bit.
Great. So this is a real fun book. So
read the book, y'all. It's a good book. It's a quick book. Put this on pause. Pick up the freaking book. Read it. Love it. Then press play. Let's get to this.
All right. Let's do it. So what would you like to say about this book, Carrie?
I think the author, Lish McBride, writes a pretty good male character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of men trying to write young women characters don't always do so well. But I think she does a pretty good job. And I like that. I like Sam. I like Sam's voice. I like Sam's sarcasm. I like the humor in this book. It's a fucking hilarious book. For what it is. I mean, it's a book about necromancy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they kind of give that away in the title. But it's funny and I like it. Anyway, that's some shit I got to say.
Good. Well, this has been a short episode.
Yeah, so we've got Sam. Sam's the main character. He works at Plumpy's with his friends, Brooke, Frank, Frank's the newbie, and Ramon, who's his best friend. They all work at Plumpy's together. It's a burger joint, I think, and he is a vegetarian. So that's funny.
Have you ever worked in a food service job?
I have not. Have you?
I have, yes.
Yeah, I think I remember you said you had to like make falafels or something.
Yeah, kind of one of my two abiding memories from the time was, as you said, we made deep fried falafel. So we had a deep fryer, and one of the things that some of my coworkers like to do is throw ice cubes in the deep fryer.
Oh, no.
And so what happens, because oil is lighter than water, is the ice cube sinks, and then it melts, and then it evaporates, and then bad things happen.
What are the bad things?
Just boiling oil.
Oh, yeah, that's bad. Yeah.
Spewing all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
So at that point, you're just like, well, I guess I can't go near the deep fryer for another 5 or 10 minutes. And, the other one, this is, I feel like this is maybe a Ramon move, was sometimes we would leave the falafels in the deep fryer too long accidentally, and they would actually still look really delicious. They would be this deep golden brown, but they would taste burnt. And and we also sold fried dough.
Mm-hmm.
So one day, one of my coworkers put a bunch of overcooked falafel on a plate and sprinkled powdered sugar from the.
Oh, this is cruel and unusual.
From the fried dough on it, and then put up a sign saying "Free donut holes."
That was just mean.
Yeah, pretty mean. Anyway, so one of my questions was sort of which of our fast food working people I most identified with.
Frank.
You know me too well.
You're 100% Frank.
I don't know if that's good.
You know what? Frank was a loyal friend, eager to help. Kind of got his balls busted a lot, and really wanted to do a good job. Most of those things are good qualities.
Frank is the guy who's like, I wish that people would stop throwing ice cubes in the stupid deep fryer, so I would have to stop, so I wouldn't have to mop the floor.
Yeah.
So
they go outside to play a game of potato hockey because, of course, and hilarity ensues.
Yeah, hilarity in terms of lots of mayhem and people getting killed and brought back to life and stuff.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
It's powerful stuff, potato hockey. They accidentally break the taillight of a Mercedes. And the owner of the car is none too pleased and comes in to confront them about it and notices Sam and recognizes that there's something weird about him, which is not something that Sam himself had ever suspected. And is like, why haven't you checked in with the council? Who are you? How long, when did you get here? And Sam has no idea what he's talking about. And this ultimately leads to the events in the rest of the book, where Sam discovers that he's a necromancer. And in the end, a very powerful one, although his powers have not really manifested themselves for various reasons.
One thing I really like about this book is that a lot of people take a lot of shit in stride.
Yeah.
Like, for all the things that happen, I think Sam's really the only person who ever really wrestles with who he is. Like, he's like, oh, fuck, I'm a necromancer. I have no idea what this means, what's going on. And everyone else is just like, okay, cool. Let's just roll with it. Weird shit's happening. His friend who he works with gets turned into a talking head.
Yeah.
And everyone, at first maybe a little freaked out, but also totally take it in stride.
Yeah, it's true. Even the detective.
Which I love. I love that he was just like, well, I don't know what the fuck I just saw. And if it turns out you had anything to do with this, I'm going to murder your fucking ass. But, okay.
Yeah.
I just saw a body and a head get reunited and it felt so good.
Right. Yeah, I liked the detective as well.
I wrote as my note, not a totally shitty cop.
Right. Like, he kind of figures out not exactly what's going on, but that something is going on and who's involved in it. And he doesn't really blink when it's revealed. I mean, he blinks. He's a little freaked out by it, but yeah. But
also just like, well, if I tell anybody this, they're going to have me committed. So
yeah.
Okay.
Sort of another thing that happens in this book a lot is just sort of, I feel like there's a lot of kind of secrets being revealed and people kind of dealing with it, and everyone, and it seems like everyone deals with it pretty well in general, like Sam is mad at his mother for having hidden his family history at first, but like ultimately recognizes that it was done from good motives. And they're reconciled like pretty quickly as these things go.
Also, I think, he had to. His mom did what she had to do to keep her kids safe, because we all know that Douglas would have killed him.
Right.
We know this. He was a strong necromancer, is a strong necromancer. Douglas would have killed him. He could have moved. Douglas would have killed him. I mean, no matter what, Douglas would have killed him. So she did what she had to do to keep him alive. But also, like, after you've been kept in a magic cage with a hot chick for a while, like, you're going to have to forgive your mom.
Yeah, that, it's true. That's I think that's in some of those parenting books.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Spock.
I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
Magical cage, hot lady, your child will forgive you.
Yeah.
Hot werewolf.
Hot werewolf.
By the way.
Yes. Well, half werewolf.
Yeah, it's true.
And half fey dog or hound, fey hound.
Fey hound.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it turns out there's a lot of characters in this book. As I was trying to write everybody down, I was like, oh my God, there's actually a shit ton of people. And half of them have their names begin with B.
Oh, is that true?
No, just like 4 or 5. Because there's Brandon, Brannick, and Bridden, and Brooke.
Yeah. Okay. True enough. And then there's... I figured out from this and from Anna Dressed in Blood that I'm kind of a sucker for characters that are like maternal characters who turn out to be witches. Those are great.
Same. I was really when I first read it, I had suspected that there was something going on, and I was really excited when it was true. So I think we're sort of going off path here a little bit.
Okay.
I think we need to talk about a certain somebody in particular, and that's Douglas Montgomery.
Sure.
Would you like to tell me a little bit about Douglas Montgomery?
So Douglas Montgomery is he's the guy with the Mercedes. He's a powerful necromancer. He's the head of the Northwest Council, which is sort of a governing body for magical creatures, I guess. Mm-hmm. And we get a little bit of his backstory, which I liked a lot. Just of, him being a little kid and going to a funeral and not realizing that it's the funeral for his cousin, I think. Mm-hmm. And seeing his cousin in his pajamas, out playing and realizing that his mother can't see this kid. And at this point, like, his aunt, who apparently is also a necromancer, recognizes what he is and takes him under her wing and, clearly is a bad influence on him, and eventually he kills her and takes her power and begins his rise to power, I guess. So at this point, like, we don't really know how old he is, but I'm guessing pretty old, like older than he looks, certainly. Mm-hmm. So the sort of what he's doing, is he wants to get more and more power. He wants to eliminate the head of the Fey dogs and any other opposition he has, and just take complete control over the local magical community. He also, he also wants to, like, whenever there's a powerful magical creature, he wants to ideally, kill them or at least keep them away from where he's operating. And whenever he finds another necromancer, he wants to kill them and take their power. So, by the time by the time the events of the story happen, he's this powerful, evil dude. But I feel like you can kind of wonder a little bit if things would have gone differently if his aunt hadn't been there to completely corrupt him. Did you think that also?
I don't know. I guess I didn't think that she necessarily corrupted him. I don't know. I guess I felt like he was more upset that his parents let him go so easily. And I think if that hadn't happened, maybe something would have been different. But I don't know how I feel about, because, the aunt really in the book was not there very long. So I didn't really feel one way or the other about her, but I did feel bad about this kid who was like sitting in his bedroom listening to his parents talk about giving him away. And it's like, oh shit, that sucks.
Right. And he figures out that they're afraid of him, which is like something that comes up in the rest of the book too. Like Sam's mother is afraid of him.
I mean, necromancy is pretty scary. You see the dead, you can call the dead. That's scary stuff. People don't like talking about death. They don't like really being around death. Yeah.
And above and beyond that, you can also influence the living. Like Sam is able to impose his will a little bit on his biological father's new wife at one point.
Yeah.
So Douglas, he has I guess what I would technically describe as a goon, who is
he does
a rogue werewolf named Michael.
Michael's such a fucking asshole.
Yeah, Michael is the worst. And I feel like one of the things that sort of tells you that Douglas is maybe not headed for great and wonderful things is the fact that he puts so much trust in Michael, who just seems like a total fuck up.
He's a total fuck up. He's an idiot. I mean, all he can do is break things or people. That's really the only quality he's got that's useful for Douglas at all.
But then he sends him to talk to Sam to try to convince him to I guess get tutelage under Douglas, and Michael just smashes up the car, just completely. There isn't a whole lot of hope at that point that Sam is going to go over to Douglas's side.
Yeah.
He also has a cat/dragon named James.
Yeah, James is kind of cool. And one thing I like, so in the book, you don't know exactly who is talking, or rather Sam doesn't know who's talking. He hears a male voice. We don't know exactly who that male voice belongs to, but then later, who was it? Him? I think he sees the cat. Yeah. Sam sees the cat and starts snuggling up to it and petting it. And everyone's shocked. And I love that.
Yeah, the cat is like, wait, what? Well, being pet is pretty nice.
I know. I'm like, you just pet James. He's going to fuck you up.
Yeah, but I don't know. I haven't read the later books in the series. And you said that the next one at least is good also, right?
Yeah, the next one is good also. It's Necromancing the Stone. It's fun. There's more council stuff in it, which I kind of like, because as we all know, Sam, I'll just spoil it. Ready? After Sam kills Douglas.
Yep.
He takes his place on the council. So we get some more info about the council, and the council is super cool.
Yeah, it seems like it seems like there are a bunch of different magical creatures that might be interesting to get to know better.
The pan is pretty cool.
Yeah. Like in this book, the pan or fawn or whatever, he has got goat legs. He's human top and then goat legs, and one of the other council members complains that can you at least put on pants? And he's like, yeah, the pants aren't real comfortable with these legs. And then the other council member is like, oh, well, I can make you a kilt. And the fawn seems super interested into that. So I like that little bit of negotiation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about the next book, because the next book's got a lot of council stuff. So anyway, complete aside, spoilers, etc.
Yeah. Is James in it?
Oh, of course James is in it.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
I can just spoil the next book for you too.
Well, maybe we should just wait and read it sometime.
Okay.
Which I would be down for.
Okay. So let's go through some characters. We've got Sam. He's a necromancer. His actual name is Swain Corvus LaCroix.
Yeah.
And I love him. We talked about some of his co-workers. We've got Frank. We've got Ramon. And then we've got Brooke, who was reduced to a head.
Right. So Sam and Ramon, I guess, have known each other since they were kids, and I guess are the same age. Brooke is a little younger, and then Frank is the youngest. We also meet Kevin, the manager. Although,
do we really meet Kevin, the manager?
We don't really meet him. He spends all of his time in his office playing solitaire or something. But he does make a couple of appearances. I think they call him Little Kevin.
I don't even remember.
Doesn't matter. So that's the restaurant crew. And
yeah. Sorry. I was about to get really excited about Brooke.
Do it.
Okay. So Douglas is an asshole.
Correct.
Douglas is a murderous asshole. Douglas is a really good necromancer. So what he does is kills Brooke as a warning to Sam. Basically, you fuck with me, I fuck with you. And also, I should totally teach you how to be a necromancer. This shit is cool. I don't know.
I feel like this is one of a number of signs that Douglas isn't as smart as he thinks he is.
So what he does is he leaves Brooke's head for the crew. and
in a box.
reanimates said head. Oh, with a lovely note.
Yeah. Yes. And it's in a brown paper package tied up with string.
Those are a few of his favorite things. Anyway, Brooke takes this all in stride. I mean, she's dead. So she recognizes the fact that this is a shitty fucking situation. But she's like, okay, guys, don't leave me in the box for too long. Brush my hair. I want to see the TV. Put me at a good angle.
Yeah.
She's fucking hilarious. And, she's a good person to have on your team, even though she can't really do anything on her own. Mm-hmm. I think Brooke is the best.
Yeah. It's, I read this book a while ago, and then I finished rereading it today, and I had forgotten that Brooke returns at the end after she completely dies.
Yes, I know.
I'm like, oh, good. Good. I'm glad that she's back.
You didn't get the hint?
I did get the hint, but I had just forgotten that the hint paid off in that way.
Okay. Yeah, because they're like, oh, you need 2 guides, and one of them being Ashley, or the Harbinger, the Death in Saddle Shoes, who's also awesome.
She loves waffles.
She does. And who doesn't really?
Yeah, it's a valid question.
I mean, I don't know how a dead girl can eat waffles, but she can, and she does with gusto.
Yeah.
So it says he needs 2 guides, and one of them being Ashley. Who's the second one? Turns out it's Brooke. Yay.
Yeah, Brooke is great, and Frank is totally in love with her.
Oh my God, so in love with her. So, and brushing her hair, French braiding. No, Ramon French braided it.
Yeah. Comes up with the idea of using a
bowling bag.
Little known fact about bowling bags that I've learned is that they are also the accoutrement of choice for transporting jugs if you're in a jug band.
And heads if you're a necromancer.
Yes, exactly. They're very useful. They have 1,001 uses, or I guess 3. They have 3 uses.
So Douglas decides to take matters into his own hands, doesn't think that Sam's going to go to the dark side, as it were, and kidnaps the motherfuck out of him.
Yep.
Oh, and then there was a panda.
Oh, yeah. You're right. There totally was a panda. Zombie panda.
A very dead panda. So it turns out like one of the ways Douglas gets money is by preventing international incidents and keeping pandas alive.
Yes. Or, politicians who died in our opportune moments, or, things of that nature.
How many of our politicians are actually dead right now?
Well, yeah, it's not known. It's not specified. The only person that we know, that we 100% know is dead and still roaming the earth, is Keith Richards.
This is true. You're correct. Oh, what world are we going to leave for Keith Richards?
Man. Fucking Keith Richards, man. So it's kind of convenient that Sam gets locked in a cage with hot
dog.
Yeah, hot dog. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry.
Okay, podcast over. Yes. And I guess that basically happens because it's a convenient holding case that will contain a magical being.
Also because Michael's a fuck up and accidentally got the heir to the throne rather than like some dumbass.
Right. Although that's another case where Douglas isn't as smart as he thinks he is, because let's see, what? Brid?
Yeah. Bridden or Brid.
She notes, she thinks like, well, even if you took us a weak hybrid, we would totally notice, because we know that typically when you're going to attack a group of people, you start by picking off the weak ones. So that original plan of starting with a weak hybrid would also not have worked. But on the other hand, starting with Brid was not a good idea.
Oh no, that was pretty much the worst idea.
Yeah. So he wants to do experiments on these hybrids because they have certain healing powers and the ability to change shape very quickly that ordinary werewolves don't have.
And it's not painful, correct?
Right. So she's another one who takes things in stride, although like with her, she actually is aware that magic happens and whatnot. So it's a little less.
Yeah, I mean, this is the world she was born into. She's, this is normal to her. And I don't think really Sam has, he sort of knows that he's different, but I don't think he really realizes how big this is.
No.
So he's still a little freaked out, but she's naked.
True.
And pretty. So that'll change, change opinions about magicality pretty quickly. I'm accepting of everything.
Yeah. Well, the way that it's set up is fun because like he's been knocked out. He wakes up. He can't really look into the light yet because he's got a concussion. So first he hears her voice and then like he opens his eyes and he sees that there's this naked woman and his head's on her lap. And he says, oh, this dream again, or, some dumb thing like that. And then realize he isn't dreaming. And then they talk for a little while and then he looks around and realizes that he's in a cage and there are like torture instruments everywhere. And he's like, oh, well, maybe this isn't as great a setup as I had thought. But she's a great character as well.
She's amazing. I love her. And I love, maybe because this was written by a woman, I love that Sam's interactions with her are very respectful, given the circumstances that they're under. I mean, he's not doing anything stupid. He's not trying to say anything stupid. And I like that he's still, there's still care being taken with their situation. And I appreciate that. He's like, not just an asshole.
Yeah. And they eventually have sex, but like,
oh, they sure do.
There's this whole like explicit, enthusiastic consent thing the conversation that goes on before they do.
I know. Isn't that great?
It's great. Yeah. Letting her work off some of that excess energy that werewolves are prone to have.
It's true.
When they can't run around.
I mean, might as well do it.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. So Douglas does a lot of torturing. He tries to get Sam to do necromancy stuff. And because Sam has no idea who he is, what's going on. I mean, he's now got some idea because he's talked to some people. He talked to Maya, the psychic, talked to the sister of the psychic, June. He talked to his mom. So he's got an idea of now what's going on. He talked to his
Ashley.
Yeah, he's spoken with Ashley. He spoke to his dad's other kid or other kids.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, we should talk about that scene at some point. But.
Yeah, and so now he's got a general idea of like who he is and what's going on, but he still has no idea like how to necromance.
Right. And also his powers have been suppressed by these sort of spells that his mother and his uncle have put on him.
Correct.
Which are meant to keep him out of sight, but also have the effect of him not being able to do very much in the necromantical way.
Yeah.
So Douglas keeps trying to like teach him how to do necromantic stuff so that he gets more power so that then Douglas can kill him and get that power for himself. And it's just not working really.
It's not working at all. It's terrible. And it's also horrifying, the stuff that Douglas is making him do, bringing up people that he's killed. And so now Sam has to sort of see like his future basically like, I'm going to be a dead person. He doesn't necessarily think that he's going to be dead. He probably suspects it pretty strongly, but, he may think, oh, Douglas really does want to just take me under his wing, although that would be really naive. Sam is a little naive. But so these horrifying creatures like kind of just like ooze up from the floor and come out of the walls, and Sam has to learn how to call them up and put them back, and he's not so good at this, so Douglas beats the shit out of him repeatedly. So that's fun. All the while, all these people are trying to save him, so Ramon and Bridden's people and Tia, who is Sam's mom, and Mrs. Winiarski, who's the best neighbor ever.
Yeah.
All are trying to get to him to save his life. And who is Mrs. Winiarski?
So we later discover that Mrs. Winiarski is a witch and a friend of Sam's mother, who his mother has asked to like move in next to him and sort of keep an eye on her. But when we first meet her, she just is a 70-year-old woman who lives next to Sam, who keeps encouraging him to go out and get laid. And
I know.
And
she's the best. She's always coming back from like going out dancing.
Yeah, she's like, I'm getting more action than you are. Yeah, and she has like a 1965 Mustang, I think, that and is completely terrifying driving it. And yeah,
and she's amazing. And I really hope my next door neighbor is a witch. I don't think either of them are, but I would like it if they were, because I need a Mrs. Winiarski in my life. I need one.
Yeah,
I need a crazy old lady who drives like a bat out of hell and fucks like the wind.
Sure, we all do.
Not me, but just other people.
Yeah, no, understood.
I need the stories. I need like so many stories because she's amazing. And I am really envious of Sam to get to live next to such a wonderful character. One thing I really like is, Ramon's like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I'll go ask the neighbor for a ride.
Right.
And he asks her like, oh, has Sam ever taken you to his mom's house before? And she's like, nope. And then they get there and she's like, oh, hey, Tia, how you doing? He's like, I thought Sam didn't take you here. He's like, no, Sam didn't.
Right.
And I love that. I'm like, oh, bitch didn't lie. I like you.
Yeah. And, like Sam has a lot of good people around him. Like his sister, Haley, I like, his mother. And then so we never actually meet his dad. His dad is alive and around, but we don't meet him.
No, we don't.
We just gather from everything that everyone who has met him says that he's a total prick.
Yeah, he's a shitheel.
But like even his dad's current wife and kids they seem pretty chill,
Yeah, I mean,
a little spooky, but
well, his stepmom has no idea that Sam is really her husband's kid. She thinks that it was the uncle's kid. She thinks that Sam's mom had sex with Nick.
Yeah.
So she doesn't realize that this is not Nick's baby.
Right.
And so, I mean, yeah. So Sam's dad's an asshole and I don't like him. But he has some necromantic children. Sorry, can't talk. I'm dumb.
Oh, well, I don't know why you would have trouble saying a common everyday word like necromantic.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
And so, these kids they're a little spooky.
Yeah.
They have real imaginary friends.
Yeah, including a dead Native American who's, from a few hundred years ago, perhaps.
Yeah, so Sam's going to have to deal with that at some point because, you can't have his half-sisters growing up not knowing who they are. But I don't remember if that is in the next book or not. But I think he feels some sort of sense of responsibility for that. Not for them, but for taking care of their well-being.
Yeah. In this book, he mentioned, like, while he's in werewolf prison, he mentions their existence to Ashley and asks her if she can look in on them and help out.
Yeah.
Which Ashley says, yeah, that's part of my job. I'm totally happy to do that. Unlike taking messages to his mother, which costs a waffle a day for 6 months.
I know, right? Like, come on. Although, you know what? A waffle a day for 6 months, I'd do it. A waffle a day is not that bad.
No. Doesn't exactly keep the doctor away, but...
Well, she's dead, so it doesn't matter.
No, that's a good point. That's valid.
So, let's talk a little bit about Haley. Haley is Sam's little sister. And she's pretty cool. But, like, she and Sam don't get along.
They don't get along, but in a way, like, it seems pretty clear that they love each other.
Yeah.
They just, like, are always teasing each other. And
it seems like there's a little bit of, like, animosity there. Like, Sam feels like Haley is the favorite. And that's partially because Sam's mom is a little afraid of Sam. A little afraid of what Sam could be. And so hesitates before hugging him. And I'm guessing Haley is more of a witch like her mom, but it's not explicitly stated.
Yeah, this book is pretty gonzo, but there were a number of scenes where, particularly having to do with kind of family and connections that I found pretty touching. And one of them was the scene where he says to his mother, that he always noticed that she would always hesitate before touching him. And for a long time, he thought that was just her way. But then when the sister came along, she never hesitated. And that's something that he had always noticed and was, felt jealous about.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the book, she hugs him, and there's no hesitation.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the themes in this book is family or chosen family. And and so we've got people who don't have anybody else. We've got people like Michael, who is rogue. We've got people like Douglas, who was cast out by his parents and killed his family. So we've got people who are alone. And then we've got Sam, and he's got a really strong connection to people. And all of his people have a really strong connection either to Sam or to each other. And so there's a really strong, like, good versus evil in who is alone and who's not alone. We don't see Sam's dad. Sam's dad is alone in the fact that he's not a character in the book, except in stories about him. What do you think about that?
No, I think that's right. And, and the father is isolated. Well, as another kind of theme of the book is how, like, within a family, keeping secrets becomes this kind of barrier and makes you isolated. Mm-hmm. And Sam and his mother break through that barrier. And at the end of the book, there aren't really a lot of secrets left as far as we can tell. But Sam's father, there's a whole lot he's not telling to his current wife.
Or his kids, or...
Yeah, and, like, it also kind of seems that there's this whole thing about how how Sam's mom, like, when she's pregnant, kind of realizes that... I should just say what his name is if I can remember what it is. Oh, Kevin.
Oh, that's a crap name.
Kevin Hatfield, Sam's dad, Kevin Hatfield, that when she was pregnant, she sort of realized that he was the kind of person where, like, if Sam wasn't exactly what he wanted him to be when he was born, then he would just never really connect to him, that he was waiting to connect emotionally with Sam and to an extent his mother until he could see what Sam was going to be like.
Yeah.
And that's shitty. And it's also a way that Sam's father is isolated and perhaps will never really connect to anybody.
So Sam does have some pretty great friends. Sam's got a really good, like, strong connection to people. And then they fight for him. And it's the coolest fight ever because Douglas has a fucked up house. I love it.
The lawn gnomes, the garden gnomes.
Yes.
At the end of it, the fight, there are just little red hats scattered everywhere.
Yeah, so he's got this big mansion and he's got all these like statues and garden gnomes, and you're like, wow, this is a little whimsical, asshole, for your dark self. But it turns out they all come to life and they all fuck shit up. So you've got dragons, and you've got like these huge like statues like ripping people apart.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Love it. It's amazing. It's the best fight ever. And then Ramon's just like, okay, I got a skateboard. This'll do, right?
Yeah, he hits a dragon with it. Yeah, it's remarkably effective.
But he's got all of Bridden's brothers and friends, and all the people in her pack are there. And it's pretty friggin' amazing. It's like the best fight ever. Unfortunately, Ramon may have gotten himself into a bit of a pickle.
Well, yes. It turns out that there are possible downsides to having a fight in a mad scientist / necromancer's laboratory.
It's true.
Filled with all sorts of unholy experiments. And one of them is that you might get hit with a broken vial full of werebear blood.
Mm-hmm. And so that's not good.
No, turns out that's bad.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing.
I mean,
don't do that.
I would love to be a werebear,
mm-hmm.
but not if it causes the pain that Ramon has to go through. He's really fighting for his life in the hospital, or in the were-dog hospital.
Yeah. But it seems like he's hopefully going to prevail.
I think so. I think that that's just another like testament to how awesome Sam is. Like, someone is going to fucking risk their life, get turned into a werebear for you. So you better appreciate it. And I think he does.
I agree.
And then because Sam is now a full-fledged necromancer and he has killed the evil Douglas Montgomery, he gets to return Brooke's head to her body, and she gets to be whole. And the Detective Dunaway gets to see this, and he's all a little fucked up, but also, could be worse.
Yeah, and in another kind of fun bit, a lawyer shows up at the hospital and asks Sam to sign a document saying that he killed Douglas, which he is understandably reluctant to do, but it's so that he can inherit the property and his spot on the council, and so on. So at the end of it, Sam has this giant, if extremely creepy and haunted mansion, and a ton of money, and a seat on the council.
He does let the panda go.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Rest in peace, Panda.
Panda, whose name I don't remember.
Yeah, I didn't write it down. But he also gives some money to the zoo to set up like a memorial panda preserve or something, to hopefully reduce the chance of an actual international incident.
I mean, pandas die. In general, they die. I mean, I hope it wouldn't become an international incident, but one never knows.
One never knows.
So, a lot of great things happen. A lot of terrible things happen. Is Douglas dead?
Seems like it. I mean, they say that if he wasn't dead, then Sam wouldn't have been able to get his powers.
This is all true.
Well, so one thing that, okay. So there's, oh man. Yeah. I'm good using the words real good right now. So one of the things that I thought was really cool is so it turns out that Sam has had, as we said, 2 spells placed on him to suppress his powers. Although initially they think that there's just the one. So his mother placed one spell on him and then his uncle placed another.
Yeah. And they thought that the one that the mom didn't take, but it did. Right.
So at a certain point, the mother's spell is lifted. And I just kind of like the idea that, he's been doing all this training with Douglas and has been working really hard to develop his powers. And it hasn't been working that well because he's got this, he's been working under this burden. And then the instant that the mother's spell is lifted, which is the less powerful one, it's like he's suddenly this 1,000-pound weight that he's been pushing against is gone. And this is, I guess, my headcanon more than something that's explicit in the book, but I feel like he maybe is more powerful than he would have been otherwise from having that thing to push against. And he is, instantly incredibly powerful. And I'm you're kind of led to wonder, what happens when the other part of the spell is also lifted? How powerful will he be then?
Oh, I think he's going to be pretty fucking powerful.
Yeah.
But we haven't met the uncle yet to have that taken off. But what he does is he calls up somebody in particular. Do you remember who he calls up when that spell is broken?
Oh, he calls up Ashley.
Oh, he calls up somebody else.
Right. He has some really mundane name, but it kind of seems like Anubis.
It's Ed.
Ed, that's right.
He gets Ed.
Yep. A fantastically powerful death god.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It wasn't Anubis, though, because he has a crocodile head, doesn't he?
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Is that Set? I don't know.
But anyway, he got Ed.
Yep.
And I thought that was an amazing scene. And that's when Douglas was like, oh, fuck, I gotta strap you down.
Yep. Time to die.
Because Ed was like, so, Douglas, you ready to go? And he's like, no, go back, please.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And then, when Sam next wakes up, he is bolted to a table.
Yeah.
Yay. So one thing I also wanted to mention, which is completely an aside, but it's, the fact that Sam was born and his dad wasn't there and his mom was all alone in the hospital and all these giant crows were just outside waiting.
Yeah.
So the mom's like, well, I guess I'm going to present the baby to them.
Oh, this leads to a truly terrible joke.
And I was like, why didn't I present my son to the crows outside the hospital? Why didn't I do that? I really could have. Anyway, truly terrible joke, please.
Oh, well, he says, I always thought that I thought that you said that Corvus was a family name. And she says, yeah, it is. It's the family, it's
family Corvidae. She's like, if you just looked it up, you would have known.
Yeah, and he's like, why didn't I Google it? What was I thinking?
Well, because you're kind of a dumbass, Sam. You are kind of a dumbass. You're not a dumbass in the way that Douglas Montgomery is a dumbass. You're just kind of a bumbling fool. And I love you for it.
Yeah.
He's not really good at anything. He's never really been good at anything before. He tells people that, he skateboards, but he's not very good at it. He works at the restaurant, but he's not very good at it. He dropped out of college because he wasn't very good at it. There's a lot of things he kind of half-asses. He's a bit of a dum-dum. I love him.
So the other thing I wanted to say is that I like how Ashley is, when she appears, she's basically a customer service rep for the land of the dead, sort of. She totally has that affect, and it's yeah. She although much more helpful than many customers reps are. I say that as someone who is himself a tech support person.
Yeah, I think she's one of the best characters in the book. I think she's amazing. I sort of wish she'd shown up earlier somehow because I want to hear more from her. I want to know like how this all works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do you become a customer service rep for the Land of the Dead?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this? Because she's obviously, you know, she's been dead for a while. She looks really young, but she talks much older.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know more. I like her, but I really like this book. I think it's fun. I think it's silly. I think it's as tongue in cheek as one can be about, you know, supernatural teenagers.
Right. And like, you know, I mean, I said that it was kind of gonzo, which I think is continues, you know, I would still describe it that way of just a real fun ride, you know, like.
Yeah. There's nothing about this I would probably change. And that's a pretty high compliment.
And also with that, it's got heart too. And stuff with family and stuff, which, well, you're aware that I'm a total softie. So
you are. I love that about you. I'm not. I hate everybody and everything.
Yeah. Well, I can totally relate to that as well. But yeah, this is, I really enjoyed this book. And it's quick to read as well. So
it's so fast.
So, you should read it if you haven't already.
You really just read it. Just fucking read it. Stop what you're doing right now. Don't listen to anything we've already said. And read this fucking book.
Yes. Go back and erase your memory of the past 45 minutes or whatever. Read the book and then unerase your memory.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. That all made sense.
Yeah. So this was Hold Me Closer, Necromancer by Lish McBride. Fuck.
Yep, that's what it was.
I love that book.
Yeah.
It was Hold Me Closer, Necromancer by Lish McBride.
From 2010. And it has, I think, at least a few sequels. And maybe we'll do one or more of those again at some time.
Yeah, it's got at least one official sequel, which is Necromancing the Stone. And then there's a couple of like half novels that go with it.
Mm. Yeah, I would certainly be interested in revisiting this world and these characters. So what are we going to talk about next time? Do we have a decision? Do we know?
I just finished reading The Hate You Give, which is amazing.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if we can discuss it well.
Oh, okay.
I just don't know. So The Hate You Give is really an amazing book. It's by Angie Thomas. It's her first novel. And it's about a world that I've literally never been in. This young woman, African-American woman, lives in not exactly she moved out of the projects, but she still lives in a not so great area. Her white friends from her white school call it the ghetto. And she never goes to parties. But one day she goes to a party. Her cousin or half sister makes her go to a party or whatever. And she sees a friend of theirs there, and they get stopped by the cops. And she sees her best friend, or this guy she used to be best friends with, get murdered by a cop in front of her. And the book is amazing, but I don't know if I can do it justice.
Yeah, I hear what you're talking about there.
Yeah, I think you should read it. I think it's really worth the read. I think it's a tough read, but I think it's really beautifully written. And really just like I said, like it's a story and it's a point of view that I have never lived through, so I don't understand what it's like. I don't understand, some of the relationships that are built in African American families out of sorrow.
Yeah.
I loved it. I think you should read it, but I don't know if we can do it right.
Yeah, I hear you.
So So that was a really good book, and I think you should read it. Let's see what else I've got.
Well, have you read Vivian Apple at the End of the World by Katie Coyle?
I have not. No, but we spoke about that at one point.
Right. That's a book that I, in the end, was disappointed by, but I also think it would be interesting to talk. Like, it sounds so perfect for us.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that.
And maybe I'm wrong, like, because it certainly is well reviewed and people seem to love it. So maybe I'm just wrong. I'm certainly willing to accept that.
Will it make for a really good conversation?
I think so.
Let's do it.
Okay. So that's what we'll do next.
That's what we're going to do next. Why don't you talk about it?
Okay. So the next book we're going to talk about is Vivian Apple at the End of the World by Katie Coyle, which is a book that I've actually read before. And I found it. So I would describe this book as basically Left Behind for atheists.
See, that sells it for me. Like, you're telling me all the right things, Jake.
I know, it sounds like such a great idea, and yet I found myself kind of oddly unsatisfied by it. But I think it'll be interesting to talk about regardless. Also, I may just be wrong, and maybe you'll love it, which would be ideal. Yeah, and it's 272 pages, so that's a quick read.
Oh, that's going to be a super quick read.
Yeah, and so that's what we'll talk about next time. So some things that I think we haven't mentioned in a while but are worth mentioning is that we have a Goodreads group. If you search for Love You Like Crazy on Goodreads, you'll find it. And right now, basically, I just post the books that we've covered and reviews and whatnot. But if you want to try starting conversation there, that would be great. We also have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. And so you're welcome to join either one of those.
I recommend the Facebook group. I think it's a lot of fun. I hate Goodreads.
Oh, okay.
It's not that I hate it. It's that I always forget it exists. And then it just kind of stares back at me like, you have ignored me, Carrie. What are you doing? You have read all these books. You need to tell people about that. And I was like, I know. I fucking failed again. But Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can be snarky and silly there and talk about Jughead, and I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Facebook, so I hate it, but it's not, doesn't make me feel inadequate like Goodreads does.
Right. Facebook is admittedly the worst. Oh, we have a Twitter account too, by the way. Speaking of websites that are the worst. Love YA Pod, at Love YA Pod on Twitter. And we're members of the Ear Trumpet Podcast Network, Ear Trumpet Audio. You can find them on Facebook and Twitter and at eartrumpetaudio.com and all those things. The Ear Trumpet Audio Network also has a Patreon thing where you can pledge money to support us. And if you do, you get bonus audio, which basically is all from Carrie and me. Pretty much. Which
is the best. It's like, if y'all want to listen to us talk about Riverdale, which I know you do.
Yeah.
You should probably put a couple bucks in the pot and listen to us.
There's also a recent thing that we put up there was a discussion we had of a little author promo that I got through Goodreads, which was hilarious.
It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen some pretty great things. And maybe that is the only thing Goodreads is good for, because I haven't figured out the other things.
Yeah.
Other than figuring out if a book is going to make me want to punch somebody, punch myself, or is super racist. Those are the only things I find Goodreads is useful for. Other than that, it just stares at me and makes me feel inadequate.
Yeah. Well, so
what doesn't?
No, I hope not. So the Ear Trumpet Network also has a lot of other great podcasts on it. The one that I want to highlight this time is Pet Cinematary, which was started in 2016 by Wendy Mays, and it looks at the role that animals have played in cinema, from Air Bud to the cat in Gone Girl. In each episode, Wendy brings on a different guest and discuss a movie of their choice. And They will talk about any kind of animal, not just cats and dogs. If it's non-human, they're going to talk about it. And they were on a hiatus for a while there, but they've started posting new episodes recently, including some recent episodes were about Best in Show, which I haven't listened to that one yet, but that I bet will be fantastic. And The Witch, which is a horror movie that I have never seen because I don't watch horror movies very much.
But me neither.
But that was a fun discussion to listen to. So I recommend checking them out. So with all that said, I have no idea how to end this episode, but it's always great to talk to you about books, Carrie.
You as well. Books are the best. You're the best. I love you.
I love you. And
like crazy. No. Sorry.
Yeah. Perfect.
Give me a call when you get back. Hey there.
Hey.
LoveWireLikeCrazy.com. EarTrumpetAudio.com.
Ideas and entertainment.
Loud and clear.
Hold me closer, Necromancer. It's my velvet voice.
It's lovely, and I appreciate it.